Hey, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us today. We're at Northwestern Medicine Living Well Cancer Resources, and today's the first class of Being Well, which is a survivorship series, and we'll be focused on the Mediterranean way of eating. I'm Nancy Zawicki. I'm a registered dietitian with Northwestern Medicine. I work at the Del Norte Cancer Center.
And my name's Mary Zupke. I also work at the Del Norte Cancer Center. We're so happy you guys are here with us in the kitchen, and we're happy that you guys are here at home with us. So thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, so today with the Being Well, it's class 1. It's moving forward after a cancer diagnosis with the Mediterranean diet. And then there's 4 classes in the series. And so there's next Wednesday, the following, and the one after at 6 o'clock. So it just, and then you'll be done. Yeah.
So moving forward, there are a couple of things that we talk about and the American Cancer Society recommends for nutrition during survivorship, which is any time after diagnosis. And that's healthy eating, healthy weight, activity, and stress reduction. So we're going to be kind of talking about those items. Healthy eating, we like to talk about simple meals where you can learn simple Mediterranean recipes and cook at home. And so we're going to be showing you some of those recipes, and also check the Living Well website. We have lots of recipes on there that we've made in the past. And then cooking more at home. So food starts in the kitchen, as we often say. If you're cooking at home, you're having less processed foods, and we know that that's better for us, less anti-inflammatory, more anti-inflammatory. And then healthy weight, achieving weight management with lifestyle changes, forming healthy habits, avoiding dieting, eating those healthy foods, getting some activity depending on what your doctor recommends, and making sure that you're staying as active as possible, but that could mean standing instead of sitting. And everyone's got a different level of physical activity that they can do. And then stress reduction. Keep in mind, there's so many resources here at Living Well. And we were just talking about the massages and their support groups and
Art classes.
activity, art classes.
Yeah.
So thanks for being here.
Yeah, so we use that term survivorship, and the day that you're diagnosed, you become a survivor. So that's a good thing. And the things that we promote in this series is a healthy lifestyle and cancer prevention. So there's growing evidence from scientific research that demonstrates a strong correlation between lifestyle change and reducing risk for cancer recurrence. So weight control, you want to eat a healthful diet, and then getting daily physical activity. So it becomes incorporated into your daily life and becomes a habit so that you just continue on that path. And then what is the Mediterranean diet? It's a term used to identify a dietary pattern originating from the people living in the Mediterranean basin. So you can kind of see on that graph up there, the countries that surround the Mediterranean, and they're already eating and living the Mediterranean way. And so we're finding that it's a great way of eating and lifestyle to promote here.
So some people ask us, well, Mediterranean, is that all lentils? I can't do that. It's too crazy. But if you're eating more chicken and fish, you're incorporating more fruits and vegetables and plants, then you're doing great. It's recommended by the American Institute for Cancer Research and also the American Cancer Society. And it's based on years of research. It emphasizes plant foods, fruits and vegetables, whole grains, herbs, spices. We've got some herbs for the Living Well garden today in our salad that we're going to be making with you. And these plant foods have protective properties. We know they have anti-inflammatory properties to help us decrease inflammation in our bodies, to help decrease risk of recurrence. So really it means eating more chicken and fish, increasing our servings of fruits and vegetables. So we hope to show you some ideas of doing that and getting a variety of those. Healthy fats, such as avocado, olive oil, and peanut butter, low-fat dairy, whole grains in moderation, and then activity as part of that Mediterranean lifestyle as well.
Okay, so then going on with the Mediterranean diet and lifestyle, we do have a beautiful garden here, a raised bed. And so today, that with our first class, we're able to go out there and pick fresh herbs and tomatoes And it's really fun that, you know, we can live and breathe it. So plant-based meals and snacks. You want to picture your plate with half of your plate with colorful fruits and vegetables. And we say colorful because we want you to eat the rainbow, to not eat the same old thing every day. Try new vegetables and eat for color. So all the colors of the rainbow are represented. You don't have to do it all in one sitting, but you know, you want to vary it. So what we're making today is a chopped salad, and we'll have a variety of those colors in it. So you see what it would look like. And you want to use whole grains. So if you're using pasta, you want to have whole wheat pasta, lean meats, and then low-fat dairy. And then using plant proteins from beans, legumes, nuts, and seeds. So we have some chickpeas that we're going to add to the salad as our protein source. And using healthy fats, like Mary said, mostly we're using like olive oil, 100% extra virgin olive oil, and avocado oil is fine too. And then we don't use much salt, so we try to use more fresh herbs and spices to give food flavor. And eventually your taste buds readjust. So we use garlic and onion, and then the fresh herbs in our cooking. And we don't even use the salt shaker. And pepper's always good too. And then getting regular exercise. I know for myself, I like to take walks. Like that's my form of exercise. Mary does a few other things too, like,
I like jazzercise.
yeah,
It's a lot of dancing, loud music,
yeah,
keeps me motivated.
yeah. And then moving on, what healthy eating looks like, we do want you to cut down on processed food. So when I go grocery shopping, I try to shop the outer prim of the store, where my first stop is your fresh produce. And then I move on to the lean meats, which would mean like poultry, fish, even some lean red meat, low-fat dairy, and then your whole grains. I try and avoid up and down the aisles because that's where a lot of the processed and convenience foods are. That's what really makes your food bill go up. It's not so much the fresh fruits and vegetables, because you can get those deals, like especially now with the fresh produce in season. And so you want to plan your meals around that. You want to cut down or try to avoid added sugars. And you know, we don't really use that with our meals, but it doesn't mean you can't have a piece of dark chocolate once in a while. Like we don't want to be known as the food police. Like you want to make it livable, but just keep it all in moderation. Like you don't want to substitute a healthy meal and have all sweets for lunch. You know, you want to keep a minimize of that. And then processed refined grains. So those packaged things like broccoli, cheese, rice. You know, you would just want to have plain rice and then add your vegetables and stuff to it. And then trans and saturated fats. A lot of the trans fats are gone now through the packaging and new FDA laws, but saturated fat is animal fats, and that raises cholesterol. You want to limit or cut out red and processed meats, mostly the processed meats, really try to get away from. Try to use more like chicken in your salads, you know, or beans. Red meats limits, usually like with breast cancer, we'll say maybe twice a week is okay. But if someone has a rectal or colon cancer, we would say maybe once every 3 weeks. Like it's not hard facts, but you do want to really limit it. And then trying to avoid those sedentary lifestyles. So try to even park a little farther away, you know, do little things to make you walk a little bit more.
So Nancy mentioned fresh fruits and vegetables, and we're so excited too that the farmers markets are up and running and you can try to eat local. And we know that they're the nutrients, it can take 15 days possibly from getting farm to table in the winter. So having that local farmers market is going to be great. In that time of getting from the farm to the table, you can have moisture loss, quality and nutrient loss, and even microbial spoilage. So with that, you're going to be definitely losing some of the quality as well as the nutritional value. So fresh can really make a difference. Fresh fruits and vegetables are best picked at peak maturity, and that way you're not going to be losing that vitamin C content. The vitamin B levels are also going to be higher if you have less transportation time from the fields. And then the higher fat soluble vitamins like A and E are going to be higher if you have less heat and light exposure. So That lycopene is really good for men's prostate health, so we want those tomatoes to be fresh. I like the picture here, looking at those watermelon radishes that you can buy those at some of the local farms, and they're so tasty, and they're a little bit less bitter than a regular radish. But we've been starting to roast ours a little bit too. That's another good way to incorporate those radishes. My husband likes them raw like that, but I'd rather have them roasted.
Yeah, so if you do go to the farmers markets, those farmers are a wealth of knowledge. You know, I remember years ago, I was at a little farmers market and they had a little grill and they were roasting beets and they had all those varieties of beets, like the golden, the red ones, the candy cane ones. And I don't know, I kind of shied away from beets because I was like, that's a big deal, you know? But then I tried some, they had a sample and I'm like, this is really amazing. So then we used to do a lot of beets here prior to COVID. It was just kind of fun. But this next slide where it says get creative, this little visual where it shows the plate, you'll see on the, I think it's on the left side where it shows that tomato and broccoli, like that's the side where you want your vegetables and fruit. So half your plate should be that. And then a quarter of it would be your grains. It can be whole grain bread or whole grain pasta or things like that, and then your meats, and then dairy. So keep that visual in your head so that when you're planning meals, because sometimes people say, how do I make a meal healthy? Like just keep that little visual in your head so you know that that's what makes a healthy meal. And then you try to select fresh whole foods, not the store, run out of money there, but, buy whole vegetables and fruit. And I know when you're active in treatment, we say to wash the outside. I still do that. It's just kind of a habit to kind of good to do it. You can use frozen vegetables or fruit, but right now with it all in season, it's great to, buy the whole vegetables and fruit. Just don't overbuy. You can get excited and buy too much and then it goes bad. So limit it. Have a little plan of what your menu is going to be for the week, or at least for like 4 meals in case you go out or something. But you can always go back and get produce. And then these foods, these colorful vegetables and fruit are anti-inflammatory. And we use that term a lot. It just helps reduce inflammation in our body because certain diseases like uncontrolled asthma or diabetes or cancer or arthritis, those, make you chronic inflammation. And so it kind of goes hand in hand to try to include these foods to help reduce the inflammation plus any medications you're on to help manage it. I'm more of a paper pencil person. I like to jot down what my menu is going to be, and then I have my running grocery list. I know Mary's more techie, but it's okay.
A little more.
Well, but there's apps you can do, and that's coming up on another slide. But you do what works for you, and then there's a lot of like most everyone has like Siri or Alexa. You can just say, can you give me a healthy recipe for such and such? And then it pops up with some choices and that's fun. Or, I have a big collection of cookbooks. I know Mary does too. We both love to cook. And it's fun to just peruse it and get ideas. And then we tweak our ingredients to make it more suitable for the Mediterranean, like, doing lower fat dairy products and eliminating butter, might use oil, olive oil, things like that. So then moving on, the healthy eating incorporate more plant-based protein. So it doesn't mean that this is a vegetarian diet, not at all. But you should have in the week some meatless meals where it's more like beans, or you can do an egg dish, like an omelet with vegetables in it. You can even do like a focaccia bread with cheese on and then top it with vegetables. Sometimes in a pinch, I keep a couple frozen cheese pizzas just because we're working full time and sometimes you get home late and like your husband's there like for dinner, So I just chop up some red peppers and put it on, or tomatoes or zucchini on top of the pizza and then bake it. And then, it's a little bit healthier. But beans are a really good source of protein. I know growing up, baked beans was our source of beans, and then it evolves, more like black beans in your diet. And then you start experimenting, pinto beans and kidney beans. And it's really kind of fun. And it really makes adding protein, vegetable protein to your meals. And then like white beans, such as Great Northern, which are cannellini beans, garbanzo, which we're using, garbanzo/chickpeas are what we're using in our recipe. Navy beans, these tend to be higher in protein, that little grouping. followed by pinto, black beans, and kidney beans. I think the point is start using them, add them to salads, add them to, if you're making a chili when it's colder out, and you could do half the amount of meat, and then add beans to it and still give you the protein. Making, stuffed peppers and just do beans in there instead of the meat. You can always top it with cheese and some brown rice making them. It's those little things that help you get a meatless meal, but still have protein. Beans and lentils contain phytochemicals that inhibit cancer. They're high in soluble fiber, which is good for digestion and lowering cholesterol, and they contain iron and magnesium. So that's something to try. There is a cookbook I really like. I've had it for a while. It's called Oh, She Glows. It's volume 1. That one has great sides. It's like a vegetarian cookbook, but I use it more as side dishes or sometimes for the main meal, but they're really good. I was giving those to my kids, when they got their first house, or I like Skinny Taste. There's just a lot of great cookbooks out there that give you some ideas, for how to work with all this.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about plant-forward diets, and this slide kind of gives you kind of information about if you see like flexitarian, that means that you can still have meat, poultry, fish or seafood, but it's more plant-forward. That's kind of a keyword that you see out there now, but you still can have it occasionally. Pescatarian, really the focus is on fish and seafood, and then of course vegetarian and vegan. Vegetarian is including eggs and dairy, and then vegan. Sometimes people say they're vegetarian, but they say, but I just have red meat a few times a week. So people are confused about, what the different diets are. So we thought we would have a slide to kind of explain, but really, what we want to encourage is more fruits and vegetables and plant foods in general. The recent information that we found out in the research is showing about all the microbiome information, and we're going to talk more about that in a couple of weeks. But they're recommending a huge variety, kind of like what Nancy was saying, throughout the week so that you can get all those different nutrients to help give the bacteria to our microbiome.
I just want to say something too, like it's nice to know about this in case someone says, I'm flexitarian. You don't have to label yourself. You don't have to find your category. I don't like labels. Just eat how you like and just know that cutting down on meat is good and incorporating more beans and stuff, but you don't have to put yourself in a category.
We talked a little bit about fats and oils and choosing the more healthy fats, so olive oil. We often encourage peanut butter or avocado, making sure that you're getting those nut butters. Seeds and nuts are going to be helpful too. Omega-3s obviously are going to be anti-inflammatory, and you find those in fish and some other foods. But you want to choose processed foods less often, and those are higher. We really don't see many trans fats now, but the foods that have the fats from animal sources, especially the processed meats like bacon and sausage, and try to look for nitrate-free. That's going to be helpful, especially because of the colon cancer link, as we kind of mentioned earlier. But sometimes we need full fat products depending on what's happening in your diet. And if, people come to us and want to gain weight, then we would suggest having those higher fat items. So you have to be a little bit flexible, but trying to choose those poly and monounsaturated fats are going to be the best choice.
Yeah, we'll talk more about weight, but many people just want to maintain their weight, like after they've been through treatment and they want to get their energy back and move forward, do more exercise. But we thought we'd mention this, like getting out your measuring cups, because like cottage cheese is really popular right now. So I'll get low-fat cottage cheese. And if you look at the panel and it says what one serving is, it's nice to be able to try it once or twice. Just put it in the measuring cup with the portion they're saying and see what it looks like visually. Because I think as Americans, we kind of supersize things. So it's kind of a retraining our visual of what a portion size should look like. And also, what does 3 to 4 ounces of protein look like too? So it's just kind of like, as you move forward with this, kind of see what's right. We do say fill up on raw vegetables, which is fun. You know, I love raw carrots, cucumbers, peppers, celery. But go easy on the starchier vegetables like the potatoes, corn, and peas. I like as well. But I like those little round bee-sized potatoes they have, where you can cut them in half and then roast them. But then just limit how many. Sometimes I'll put them on a sheet pan and roast them with other vegetables. So you're getting a mixture. So you're not too heavily on the potatoes and having broccoli or things like that on the sheet pan. So that's good. And I
It's
still
okay
like,
to have them.
yeah, and same with corn, like it's America, you know, we grow corn here. I like to use a corn kernel cutter and I just zip it down and then real lightly I'll saute it on a low heat in a little sauce or a saute pan. The light drizzle of olive oil, and I keep an eye on it because it makes like a milk of the corn when you take it off, but you lightly cook it till it's bright yellow and then you can add some of that to your salad or a bowl if you're making a bowl. You know, it's just a nice variety, but you know, I like the fresh corn because it's got that little crispiness and bite, but I go easy on how much I'm going to have at a time. So just moderation is really the key. And then large portions do add up. An extra 100 calories per day can add up to a 10-pound weight gain over a year. So like a normal portion of meat could be like, start off with raw 44 ounces, and then when you cook it, it can shrink to 3 ounces. It's like the size of a deck of cards. That's a visual. So we don't want the meat to be the main course, like like it used to be, like your protein's the center of attention, and then you have these side dishes. Now your vegetables are gonna be your main course. But a lot of people will like, I'll do a little stir fry, like cut that meat up into thin strips, cook it, set it aside, and then cook my vegetables in a stir fry skillet, and then serve it on some brown rice. And you've got a good balance of a meal, but it's not heavy on the meat, you know, or I do it with poultry too. Yeah, and then meal planning helps to make sure portion food measures up to is a healthy serving. Just be careful with portions, you know, but you can go not overboard, but over on the vegetables because they're lower calorie. Oh,
That's right. Well, and that helps with a healthy weight. We do talk about that just because it is part of the American Cancer Society recommendations, but not as a focus on specific numbers and calories and things like that. It's mainly, you know, make sure that you're kind of checking in with your doctor and getting activity and, but a healthy weight, and the reason is because a healthy weight really looks different on everyone. It can be based on gender, height, age, body composition. We've had some bodybuilders that have BMIs over 30 and, you know, they're healthier. So you just kind of have to look at the situation and talk with your dietitian. The BMI is a guide that can tell you if you're in a certain range, but also talking with your professional will be helpful. So research shows that a healthy BMI, you have less disease and can live longer than people who are obese. A healthy BMI range for 18 plus is 18.5 to 24.9. But then for adults 65 plus, it's 22 to 24.9. So they've kind of increased it a little bit. But it really doesn't take into account body fat percentage or bone structure or muscle composition, as I mentioned with some bodybuilders. So it's a number that can kind of help guide you in talking with your health professional or your dietitian, but it shouldn't be the end all be all. We should just keep striving to make small changes.
yeah, especially if you've been through chemo or radiation and it's been a lot, and if you had side effects you had to manage and all. When you're done with treatment, it's now time to get back to normal living and gaining your strength back. You know, do it in baby steps. So we're not trying to create skinny minis or what you weighed in high school. Like that's unrealistic. So a lot of us know what our weight is that we're trying to maintain or get to. But you just do it in, you know, just keeping an eye, like changing your food habits to Mediterranean is right there a big step, and starting to get the exercise back. But I do feel that when people have been through something like this, you still kind of need a little buffer, in case you get sick or something, so, we're not like saying you have to like lose weight now. It's not like that. So this little graph can tell you what your BMI is. So on the far left, you'll see find your weight in pounds, and the bottom row tells you find your height. And then you can look up and see what category you are based on your BMI. But it's just a tool to give you a general idea. But I think your health and feeling good and feeling like you've got energy, and that's your goal really, to get back on your feet. And then healthy weight decreases the risk with weight management. So obesity does increase possible cancer risk for many types of cancer, such as esophageal, pancreatic, colorectal, postmenopausal breast cancer, endometrial, ovarian, kidney, liver, stomach, advanced prostate cancer, and gallbladder. So it is something to strive for, like you want to avoid weight gain. And just if you can maintain or just gradually, just keep tabs on it, like weigh yourself. That's a really good feedback right there. Instead of trying to count calories and do all that, we want you to enjoy food and living again, and, just be good with your choices. That's all.
Yeah, food, exercise, and calories are all connected because we need food and calories to fuel our bodies. So that's really what we focus on. To lose weight, you can obviously have less calories, increase your activity, and to gain weight, you're going to be consuming those higher calorie foods, more fat. A lot of times we are talking about, adding more olive oil to your bread, or having occasional treats. It just depends on where you are in your journey. And then to maintain a healthy weight, you want to try to consume the amount of calories that your body needs. Sometimes we're eating when we're bored and things like that. So it is important to kind of, keep it in check. However, be flexible and don't be too hard on yourself. So one way to do that is to set goals. And setting goals is a great way. A lot of times we'll talk about just, making baby steps or doing something really small. So starting out, if you're not having any activity, then we have actually chair exercises that we could recommend. Making sure that you're, if you're not eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, or maybe you are eating quite a few, maybe you should try some different ones. And so just kind of keep that in mind to increase your activity. And then some of these goals will help you set priorities, so that you can kind of reach those goals. So you want them to be SMART goals that are specific and that you can kind of go after. And then that really gives you that sense of accomplishment. So that's kind of what we're doing here, is to try to help people. Everybody's kind of at a different level of cooking, but we're trying to give you some simple ideas, but also some tips that maybe you haven't heard of in the past, and to help you reach your goals.
All right, so this next one it's really not my slide. It's use your resources. Try your apps like MyFitnessPal. If you're not sure how to use it, ask your kids or a young person. But I really don't use those. I mean, they're a great tool, but I like to just I have a route in mind that I take for my exercise, my walking route, and then I just use the scale basically to gauge weight. But
it can really help you if you don't mind, because it does give you kind of the macros and the micronutrients, and kind of give you a breakdown, because everybody's kind of got something a little bit different going on. So it can be really helpful, as long as you talk with someone about how to interpret it.
Yeah, and then activity is the key to weight management. So it used to be years ago, I had to walk with friends, and then they're not always available. So all I do, this is my old fashioned way, I just have this little crossbody and I put my phone on Pandora and I let it play out loud. No one's around. And then I just do my walk. It's very calming. I feel like I do my best thinking when I'm walking. Sometimes my husband will say, "Are you going for a walk today?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I want to go by myself. But then I feel like, well, he needs exercise too. So we do it for a while. But it is good. I think walking's so nice because you will see nature, like if you pass water or you hear the birds, like it's so comforting. Even just sitting outside, we'll do that sometimes in the evening and you just hear the sounds and it's like after working or being indoors a lot, it's nice to sit out and just hear that. It's normal. Um, but it does, physical activity is something you should strive for. And get it done in the morning, I say, just to get it done. And then your days, you can move ahead with your day. But I don't know, I just like walking. It's just really great. We do have a walking path at the Delnor Cancer Center. So some of us, the dietitians, at lunchtime will take a walk around. Sometimes you might see us. We'll do a couple laps around and it's great because you got your exercise and then it's good, So, but it can also, physical activity can also help to improve your brain health, reduce the risk of diseases, and strengthen your muscles and bones. And that's really important as you get older too. You got to keep working those muscles because it gives your gait goodness and your strength. And it also just helps the ability to do everyday activities.
Yeah, as Nancy mentioned, it does have cognitive benefits, keeps you thinking, learning, keeps your judgment skills sharp. It also helps reduce the risk of depression and anxiety, and we're seeing so much more of that now. Helps you sleep better. So how much is recommended? So the US Dietary Guidelines recommends 30 minutes, 5 days a week, and then a couple days a week strength training, a couple days a week stretching. But if you can go longer, then that's great. As Nancy mentioned, as we're maturing, it's really important to stay active. And everybody's at a different level, and you may be a different level depending on your treatment and where you're going and things like that. So whatever your doctor recommends is great. Just kind of keep it in mind that even if you're sitting, you can still be active. A lot of times I'll say, take the black beans that you're going to eat for dinner and use them as little weights while you're watching TV, because it is helpful. And then, just kind of check in with your doctor about what's recommended.
So the current recommendations for moderate intensity, you want to incorporate some aerobic activity. So about 30 minutes a day of brisk walking. Set your own goal, especially if you're kind of new to walking, maybe walk with a friend. That's good. And maybe do like 15 minutes and work yourself up to more. I try to walk like 45 minutes to an hour. That's kind of my thing. That's what my route is. And then there's also vigorous intensity, jogging or running. I'm not doing that. But, if I had a knee replacement, so I don't run anymore, but the walking is great. I know I feel bad for you and your knee. But, you do what works for you. Don't overdo things and then pay for it later. So be safe and be careful, but stay active. And then the activity and cardio, and anything that's getting your heart rate up counts as physical activity. Sometimes you have chores that you need to do, so that's going to count, like mowing the lawn, even going up and down stairs, like if you did the laundry and you got to take it upstairs. I mean, it all counts. But some examples of moderate vigorous activity would be dancing like Mary, walking, riding a bike, water aerobics, or playing double tennis. And then when your heart rate is increased, you can talk but not able to sing a song. So I don't know. It's just things to strive for.
Vigorous intensity is the aerobic activity, as Nancy mentioned, and that means you're kind of breathing hard and fast. So usually when I'm talking to people, I'll say you want to kind of be breathing like that if you can. And if you can't, maybe, walking around your house, around the kitchen and back. That's it. That's great. So
or every hour doing that.
Right. Everybody's a little bit different. They have done some studies on that. Like if you do like 5 minutes every hour for 8 hours, then that's starting to get to your 30 minutes. So, and they have shown that can help with weight management. So don't think that a small amount of activity is not going to make a difference, because it certainly will. And then activity can help with stress. So the studies really have shown that it helps with managing depression and sleep. A lot of times we're, recommending some of those apps too, like Calm and Headspace, because they are, they're showing that, all of these mental health professionals are a little bit too busy. So having some nature time or using some of those apps, that can be really helpful. Don't forget about the support groups here at Living Well. They're amazing, and they have amazing counselors as well. But physical activity is really good for that too, short-term and long-term, and help you sleep better. 1 in 4% reported anticipating more stress in 2023 than last year or the year before that. So that would be 1 in 5 people. So we know that the stress level is kind of increasing in our society. Excuse me. And when you face a stressful situation, your pulse quickens and you have more of those free radicals in our bodies. And I know a lot of times, like my husband, he doesn't want to talk about his feelings as much as women. We tend to talk about them more. But I do remind people about those free radicals because they are multiplying in your system with stress, and that can really affect your health. So it's good to kind of keep that in mind and make sure that you're talking about your feelings and seeking out some of these stress management tools.
And here at Living Well, we have great counselors that can help you go through all this. Living Well is a wonderful place. There's so many resources. It's a safe place. It's all free. We have brochures with all the classes. You can get them on the way out, but utilize it. It's just a really great place, and it's not forever that you can use it. There's some limitations, so it's great to use it now. Everyone has life stress. I got some going on soon. My son's moving to a new apartment. We're expecting a new grandbaby. I mean, they'll have more stress than me. Just come visit. But anyhow, it is a normal part of living, and then it's over. But people going through cancer treatment, that's a huge stress. And it takes a while to bring it back, to everyday stress. So you don't want to do it alone. You want your resources to help you and find ways to relax and strategies. So utilize Living Well for that. They're great here. But then, bad stress can have a detrimental effect on you. It can really weigh on you. But hopefully it will pass. So I think we all know what stress is.
Yeah, so tips and resources. We talked a little bit about going for a walk, but also meditation, doing a puzzle, cooking a meal. That can be really anti-stress. It is for us. Gardening is a great idea. Journaling your thoughts, stretching, relaxing, taking a soothing bath or hot shower, headspace or calm, like I mentioned, having a cup of tea. There are some herbal teas that can be really relaxing. There's one tea that my daughter-in-law told me about, and we've been all drinking in our family.
Good, yeah.
It's a celestial seasoning. It's called Bengal spice tea. Bengal spice, like Bengal the tiger. It's got a big tiger on the front, Bengil. It's very flavorful, but it's still herbal, and it's
No caffeine.
it's very calming. Yeah.
It's celestial, however you say it.
Celestial
tea.
seasoning.
Yeah.
And then, just reducing your stress, having activity and nutrition. Those are kind of the three key things that we've been talking about. Physical activity can help prevent and manage stress. Eating healthy gives your body the nutrients that it needs. And following the Mediterranean diet can help balance the diet that you have and reduce stress as well. And then lastly, getting the support needed can also be helpful.
Yeah, we'll speed it up a little more. We're almost done because then we want to get to our cooking demo. But what type of fruits and vegetables are most nutritious? It's really any of them. We want to include a variety. And they just add interest. A variety of plant-based foods have been shown to lower risk of many types of cancer, as well as other diseases such as obesity, cardiovascular disease, and diabetes. And that's what the Mediterranean diet helps all of those situations. Many anti-inflammatory foods can be found in the local farmer's market or in your own garden. So beets, berries, broccoli, cauliflower, greens, tomatoes. Try some new things, like just venture out and try new vegetables, and talk to the farmers too. If you go to a farmer's market, they can help you with how to utilize it. And then just tips for meal planning. Like we said before, build your main entree around the vegetables and whole grains and less so around the meat or protein source. Make it easier for you, like using the crock pot. You can use that any season, really. Use the planned leftovers to make 2 meals at once. So like cook up your chicken, have chicken for your dinner meal, and then use the leftover for incorporating into salads or some type of bowl. But yeah, you don't want to be having to cook every single night, so cook a little bit extra to use it for another meal. Some people will cook larger amounts and then divide it up into containers and freeze it, but always label and date it because foods look different once it's frozen. And then, if you have snacks, if you get hungry, try to stay on the straight path and have healthy snacks. And we were talking about that today, like, just trying to keep those tempting foods out of the pantry because they're so easy to just grab and go. Like, keep some vegetables cut up and, hummus or low-fat cheese sticks. Those are all great things to snack on. And plan your meals around seasonal food because that will help with the food budget too.
Yeah, the fresh herbs, they do help with flavor, as we mentioned, but they also have some health benefits. Basil could help, it's also anti-inflammatory, but it can help with your blood cholesterol. Dill can be good for liver or gallbladder health. Mint can help with stomach distress. So, but they also help with flavor, and they also give you, they count as one of those plants to get that good bacteria in our microbiome. So having a variety of those is great. And now it's pretty easy. Even if you buy like a small potted one, you could put it in a bigger pot and grow it in your kitchen and have fresh herbs kind of all summer. So that's a good way to incorporate those and better flavor. And then this slide from the American Institute for Cancer Research just kind of gives you kind of a nice little graphic to look and see all the things that are helpful to decrease risk of recurrence. And then we're getting close to our recipe demo.
Yeah.
And we're going to be making a Mediterranean chopped salad. And it's got a homemade vinaigrette, which we love to do. And I'm going to get us started with just showing you that we started with a nice big platter of romaine and just wash that. It is pretty easy to get lots of different greens now at our farmers markets. So that's something to check into. And then we have some grape tomatoes here that I just halved. And I have a couple more just to show you that if they're really big, you for sure can quarter them. But I like to kind of keep them in a little bit of chunks right now. And then we did go out to the Living Well garden. And they're just starting to come in, but we had a couple little baby tomatoes.
We had to really search for them. Yeah.
We're going to throw those in. And then also the Persian cucumber. These are the ones that are in the cellophane. And so you don't really have to peel them. They're nice and soft and easy to use, but you can see already that we're getting some nice color here with that.
Do you want to do a row?
And then, should we go ahead?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to show you kind of how we like to do the salads on a platter like this so that we can kind of do rows of color, and then it makes for a great presentation. And when we're big into presentation, because once you have good presentation, it looks appetizing and you're excited to eat. So we kind of like to do that and have a nice garnish. So we're going to put all of our cucumbers and tomatoes on here first.
Yeah, and so the next step will be the chickpeas, or you can also know them as garbanzo beans. You could, if you wanted to add more crunch to the salad, you could put these garbanzo beans, toss them in a little olive oil and some seasonings, and then put them on a baking sheet with a little rim so they don't roll off. And then 400-degree oven for about 20 minutes, and they'll kind of shrink up a little and be kind of hard and crunchy. But we thought we'd just keep them, right out of the can. So we just rinse them and drain them. And chickpeas are high in soluble fiber. They help to lower cholesterol, but they're giving you some nice vegetable protein. Then we also have a red onion, so I just chopped it up ahead. But the onion gives good flavor and also some nice color too. I wanted to cover them so they wouldn't be overpowering in here, but put them over here. I won't put too much on. You can always have more if you want.
So eggs are great, another great source of protein, and they have a little bit of fat, which is good too, to give you that satiation. A medium egg has about 6 grams of protein per egg, and a large has about 7. So if you're eating them for breakfast, it's a good idea to maybe alternate. Yeah, thank you.
There you go.
Alternate, maybe have 2 eggs in one day, so you're getting a good amount of protein. I think a lot of times people think 1 egg is going to be plenty, but really, if it's a medium egg and you're only getting 6 grams, you probably need a couple of eggs. And then the next day, maybe do yogurt with granola. And then the next day, maybe like oatmeal with some berries or something like that.
Mary, how did you get that nice bright yellow yolk? They're beautiful.
So
How'd you cook them?
yeah, so when you're making hard-boiled eggs, what I do, and you're still getting the yolk solid, is you bring the water to a boil, and then you turn off the water and leave it for 10 minutes. And then you take it after 10 minutes, you empty the water and then put cold water for 10 minutes, and then you're pretty much ready to go. Yeah. So that way you don't have that green sulfur on the edge of the egg. As you can tell, they're just, you'll be able to see it when we serve it up. They make them nice and beautiful.
Yeah. So then we have some Kalamata olives. It's nice because they're in a vinegar base. If anyone's experienced taste changes through treatment, sometimes we'll say try to have foods that contain a vinegar base because it can sometimes make that weird taste normal. Sometimes it works for people, sometimes it doesn't. So olives, pickles, because they're in a brine solution, can be helpful. These are a little salty, so this is where you're going to get that sodium taste. So we don't add salt, but you will get it from these kind of foods a little bit.
It's nice too, the different textures that you're going to get from the cucumber, the onion, the tomatoes, the eggs, the olives, the chickpeas.
Yeah, and then we're going to add some feta cheese. Is everyone okay with feta cheese? Okay, some people like it, some people don't, but we'll just put a little, I might just sprinkle it on the top.
Sure, sounds good.
Yeah.
We've gotten, like we said, we picked some and washed some fresh herbs. This is the oregano, and it's kind of, the top part is going to seed, so I just kind of wanted to show you, if you're stripping it, you want to skip that part, that top seed part. But you can still use it, and if you pluck that off, then you're going to be able to have more of the oregano growing. But because it's so small, we're really just going to put the leaves kind of throughout the salad, and it's already, you can smell it.
Yeah.
It smells so great, but it's going to give it a lot of good flavor. Even if we didn't have the vinaigrette, you almost don't need it, but we're going to add it because it's so tasty.
So I'm going to make the vinaigrette. I love to start with Dijon mustard. It gives a nice little zing. There's a variety of different kinds of mustards out there, so pick what sounds good to you. But Dijon is very good. And then I'm going to add some lemon juice, and it's nice to keep fresh lemons on hand, so you can always just squeeze them and put them right in here. Gives a nice little zing. So I'm going to go a little heavier on that.
I really like the adding the lemon, even if you have a vinaigrette recipe, adding a little extra lemon to it is so tasty.
And it is Mediterranean because when we were in Italy, there's a lot of lemon trees out there. So we'll do that. We'll taste it. And then some clove of garlic we're going to press. So using fresh garlic is always nice. I'll put a little extra in. So that's how we're giving flavor, is the lemon juice, the garlic, the Dijon mustard. Good. Oh, goodness. There we go. Okay, and then let's see, little fresh oregano. I know Mary's put some on, but I'll put a little in our dressing. If you want to throw the rest on, you can.
Yeah, sure.
And let's see what else. Black pepper. I love black pepper. I feel like putting some on our eggs right there because they're so good with, I'm going to do it. A little pepper on her eggs. But yeah, we'll put some in the salad dressing too.
And then we have some fresh mint, and you might think, well, you're already doing oregano, but that's okay. Fresh mint is going to be so delicious. It gives it such a fresh taste. Sometimes I like to just pile them all up and then kind of fold them to do that chiffonade and just give it a little bit of kind of a ribbon. And that's going to give it another good flavor and also some good nutrition. So we're gonna do that, add that in too.
So the other ingredients I added, the recipe didn't really call for olive oil, but I like a little bit because it helps emulsify things. And then I usually do more vinegar than the olive oil, just because I like that zing it has. So I'm just gonna pour it all over it, right? Because we're gonna serve it, and we'll probably use it all up. So, yeah, so it just gives a nice base.
And then we have these nasturtium that if you like edible flowers, those are so pretty too. So we would just, I'm gonna cut those stems off and then we can add a little bit of a flower to each one of our plates.
We did pick some of these jalapeno peppers from the garden. I'm not gonna cut them up because.
I don't think they're jalapeno.
Oh, what are they? Banana?
I think
Oh,
so.
okay. Well, I don't know if you've heard of this, but when in Mexico, when they're harvesting all the peppers, they say 35% of the population gets these respiratory things because some people are sensitive to the seeds, and that happens to me. When I do a jalapeno, I have to hurry up and get those seeds down the garbage disposal because then it gets in my throat and I start coughing, and you can't help it. It just gets, so not everyone affects them, but it affects me. So I don't want to go through any coughing right now.
Well, same with cilantro. Many of you probably know that some people have an intolerance, which is a genetic trait to cilantro. And if it tastes kind of like soap, we didn't use any cilantro today, but if it does taste like soap, that isn't, you're not crazy. That is a genetic.
Happened with my mother. She would not eat cilantro for that very same reason. So, oh, and then the last thing is parsley from our garden. I'll just top that on it. All these little fresh herbs in it are anti-inflammatory, and they give really good flavor, and it smells good. So, yeah, we love to use all the herbs here. So that's that.
So for those of you that are home, we want to say thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
And I think they can see us. Yeah. So thank you. We hope you'll try this and some of our other recipes at home, and that we'll see you next week for the next Being Well class.
Same time, same place.
Yeah, that's right.
New topic. Yeah.
Thanks so much. Have a great night.
Yeah. Thank you.